Hello, and welcome to my video on the guidelines for Days for Girls. Days for Girls is a charity organization that makes reusable period products for women in countries that don't have access to any period products at all. They have to miss days of work or school because of their period, and the kits allow them to get an education and keep their job, which is extremely important. Just a little about me. I started volunteering for Days for Girls 3 years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter. It was during the pandemic. I was bored out of my mind. I was desperate for something to do. I had a sewing machine and I made 248 shields that year, and I haven't stopped since. Now, the cutting and sewing that I do in my videos is the same as what they do for Days for Girls. Their guidelines are more on what fabric you can use and what stitches you can use, and I'll go over all of that. The kits include 10 liners, 2 shields, 1 transport bag, and 1 carrying bag, and those 4 items are sewn by volunteers. The kits also include 2 pairs of underwear, safety pins, 1 washcloth, a bar of soap, and instructions. Those things are usually bought or donated. Now, the type of fabric you're allowed to use for the sewing items is fairly restricted. It has to be dark or red to hide stains, no animals, no people, no flags, no religious symbols, even representations of flags, nothing patriotic to a specific country. It can't be shiny or glittery because that fabric doesn't absorb well. Try to avoid using solid colors because we want the parts of the kit to look really cute and friendly so that girls get excited about using them. Plants and flowers are okay, or abstract art is okay. Those are the ones you can stick to. The shields have to be made using cotton quilt fabric. And for the waterproof layer, you have to use PUL fabric. PUL is a soft fabric that is laminated on one side with, I think it's polyurethane. I might be saying that wrong. And you can use any PUL. It doesn't have to fit the other guidelines. It doesn't have to be dark. It can have animals and people on it because it's going to be hidden inside the layers of the cotton quilting fabric and no one will see it. Now, they encourage you to use different fabric for the top, bottom layers and the pockets because we want these to look really cool. You know, we want a variety of patterns for the girls to see in their kits. You do have to use the same fabric for both pockets, though. They're very strict on that. They want the pockets to match. And you have to use snaps to secure the shields to the underwear. You can't use Velcro or buttons. I've hand-sewn shields for myself. I'm not sure if that's allowed for the official Days for Girls kits. You'd have to ask your local leader if that's allowed, if that's something you want to do. For the liners, you have to use 100% cotton flannel. The sample on the left would be perfect except it has bras on it. These kits usually go to very conservative countries and they don't want that sort of thing in the kits. You must use a serger for the edges with a 4-thread stitch. You can't use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. The serger edges are the strongest and last the longest. The finished size must be between 8.5 and 8 3/4 inches. It also has to have rounded corners. I'm not sure if hand sewing is allowed for the liners. You'd have to ask your local leader if that's something you want to do. For the transport bags, you have to use PUL as the waterproof layer. You can make a bag with just PUL and without a cotton quilt fabric layer, but you have to make sure the PUL fits the other guidelines. Dark, no people or animals. So make sure it fits all the other guidelines before you do that. And if not, you can always cover it with some fabric. The finished bag must be between 7 to 8 inches wide, and hand sewing is allowed on the transport bags. I've done it before and they said it was okay. Now, the guidelines for Days for Girls are very strict because they want these kits to be top quality. They have to last for at least 3 years, and they'll probably have to last longer. So contact Days for Girls for up-to-date guidelines if you'd like to volunteer. They love volunteers. I'm sure they'll be able to find a way for you to help. Even if you don't have everything you need to make the kit, such as snaps or a serger or PUL fabric, they have lots of volunteers that can help you, and they'll probably have stuff you can borrow so that you can complete a kit. Anyway, thank you so much for your time and volunteering and being willing to help. Go visit daysforgirls.org to learn more, and thank you so much. Bye.